What's going on, y'all? Your boy Darius the Great here, back again for another video, and this time we have ourselves some scary stories, some Chuck E. Cheese scary stories. In fact, 5 true Chuck E. Cheese horror stories by Night Time Spooks. Now, I did say at the beginning of the month that I'd be watching some, spooky, scary videos, and I've done some here and there, but I want to get back to watching more of these, like, horror story based, videos, because these are often like very good. Like the one Nighttime Spooks video I did, it was like the Airbnb horror stories, very good. And speaking of spooky, creepy content, I just actually got done finishing The Quarry. I know it came out last year, but I never played it until like a week ago. I finished that up today. The full streams that I did them at, they're right on my channel. You can go and watch them, man. Some good stuff. So some good stuff in that. I don't want to waste too much time here. I want to get right into this thing. But before we do me a huge favor, right? Click that like button. Helps out the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm on the road to 300 subscribers. That's my little mini goal on the bigger goal, towards the bigger goal of 1,000 subscribers. So help me out there. It would be greatly appreciated, man. Comment, do all that great stuff. And without further ado, let's get it. I also chose these because Five Nights at Freddy's movie comes out, in like a week. So it's
When I was a kid, I
appropriate.
went to Chuck E. Cheese a number of times.
And there's one of
It was
these
pretty popular back then for kids to go to for birthday parties
right
or
down the
for
street
whatever reason.
for where I live.
I always loved going there, and every part about it was cool. But one time, when I was about 8 years old, that all changed. I was invited to my friend's birthday party, and it would be at the local Chuck E. Cheese. He was a friend of mine and classmate from school.
Okay.
I think his name was Ben, and we weren't really that great of friends.
I knew
but
Ben
he
in high
invited
school.
like 20 people.
Two
The
beds.
party was that Saturday, and the neighborhood that I lived in was really close by to the Chuck E. Cheese. In
Okay.
fact, I could walk there if I wanted to. So, on Saturday, my parents actually did in fact let me walk there. It took me under 10 minutes, and our neighborhood was very safe that I was aware of. I don't remember any crime happening or ever feeling scared to leave my house.
Okay, dude,
I
the
got
old
to
logo.
the Chuck E.
Damn.
Cheese and was one of the first kids there. I talked to Ben, and pretty quickly, a bunch of other kids started showing up. After that, I don't remember a whole lot. We were just playing arcade games, eating pizza, and drinking soda.
Oh, Chuck E. Cheese pizza is so good. I found out they're on DoorDash. Like you can just order Chuck E. Cheese pizza. I'm gonna have to do that.
Pretty
oof.
fun time, just like any other experience that I had at Chuck E. Cheese as a kid. There were other people there too, but for my friend's party, they had rented off a little room of space. He had cake as well, and the party lasted for probably 2 or 3 hours.
I once had a birthday party
Then,
that
when
no one
people
showed up
started
to,
to leave, I decided to go home.
except for one kid.
I remember I told Ben's parents that I was going to walk home, and they offered to give me a ride.
Take the ride.
I told them how close I lived, and they made sure that my parents knew I was walking home, but
No,
they said it was okay.
just take the ride.
So then I left.
Uh-oh.
I was happy to walk back by myself because it made me feel older than I actually was. And when I walked home on that day, everything was fine. I
Okay.
took the sidewalk past the Chuck E. Cheese and behind it. That led right into the residential neighborhood that I lived in. Then I just walked a few blocks and only had to turn once.
Something's
It was still daytime and
Something's
just
about to
seemed
happen
like a
here.
regular Saturday to me.
okay.
I don't remember noticing anything out of the ordinary.
Until
I made it home, and after getting there, I don't really remember what I did for the rest of the day. Probably just the typical stuff of watching TV or playing video games. I
Okay.
lived with my parents and younger brother in a one-story house that wasn't really that big or small. I went to bed that night, and this is where things get really creepy.
oh god.
I had my bedroom all to myself, and my window was next to my bed and looked out to the backyard.
Is that a
At some
running
point
kitchen?
in the middle of the night, I woke up. I'm not really sure why I did, but when I did, I was really groggy and kind of looked around my room wondering what time it was. I then sat up to look at my clock/radio that was on my nightstand next to me. It was then that I realized something was outside of my window.
What?
My blinds covered the window, but they were open partly. Then I remember looking over to see a large Chuck E. Cheese mask.
What the? What? Get out of here, dude. Get out of here.
It was the mask of the mouse, and somebody was standing there, wearing it over their head, and staring into my window.
Get out of
The
here.
feeling that I got when I saw it was the most scared I had ever been, for sure. I was also shocked, and I just couldn't believe it. It was so random and bizarre. I moved back and got off of my bed.
What the?
Then I ran away and into my brother's bedroom.
You sure it wasn't a dream?
He was fast asleep, and I just kind of stood in there for a while, just inside the doorway, not knowing what to do. Eventually, I went into the living room and turned on the TV. I didn't want to wake anybody else up, but I also didn't want to go back into my bedroom, and I couldn't sleep. I don't recall hearing anything else strange, and I didn't see the guy for the rest of the night. Eventually, I fell asleep on the living room couch. When my parents and brother got up, they asked me what I was doing on the couch.
Chuck
and
E.
I
Cheese
remembered
was
the whole
outside
thing
my room.
and told it to them. They were confused, and I think they believed me, but it was just such a weird situation. I even questioned myself many times if I actually saw what I think I did.
Yeah, I don't think you...
I definitely was not half asleep, though. I know that I was wide awake. We went outside and saw something extremely creepy.
What?
Just below my window on the grass, there were some Chuck E. Cheese tickets.
Hell
I never saw the guy
no.
again or experienced anything like that after. I wonder if it was somebody from Chuck E. Cheese who followed me home or something. To me, that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But like I said, I didn't notice anything unusual. Still to this day, I'm left with many questions about that experience.
Tell you right now, it was the damn purple guy from Five Nights at Freddy's for to stuff your ass in a suit. Jesus Christ. I used to be terrified of the mascot. Like, anytime he came out, I would just run in the opposite
When I was
direction.
a kid, one of my classes in school won a field trip to Chuck E. Cheese.
And my nephew's like
I
that
don't
too.
remember at all how or why we won it, but I know that we were all very excited.
We always went.
I
My
had only been
school.
to Chuck E. Cheese one previous time, and I think I was about 10 years old back then.
Like, we constantly went to Chuck E. Cheese.
When it was
It's
time
crazy.
for class that day, we all met in the classroom and then walked out to the bus.
Yep.
I remember that it was a great feeling leaving school during a school day to go to Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, it's the
We
best.
rode the bus for about 10 minutes to get there, and then we went inside. This Chuck E. Cheese was located near a strip mall at the local shopping area for our city. It wasn't very busy, being a weekday during the daytime, and there was probably
that little
about
thing you
20
used to
or 30 of
go
us
up
kids
inside, dude.
total.
Skee ball.
We
Oh, I
all
love
got
the
a
skee
number
ball
of
too.
tokens to play the games, and there were a few pizzas for us as well.
Woo!
We all started running around playing the arcade
basketballs,
games
dude.
and stuff. It was turning out to be one of the best school days of my life to that
Bringing
point.
back memories.
But I
for me.
remembered that about 30 minutes in or so, I was looking for a new game to play. I just kind of wandered off to the corner by myself just to see everything that was over there. That particular area didn't have a whole lot, and there was nobody else really in that area. I walked past a couple of those car racing game machines, I think. Well, between them and another game, I saw a grown man crouched down like he was hiding.
Purple man.
He was really hard to see, and I'm surprised that I even saw him at all, to be honest.
It's the purple guy.
When I did, I first started to walk past, but I realized I saw somebody and I stopped. Then I went closer to examine and see if there actually was a man there. When I did, I got within about 50 feet of the guy, and he turned and looked at me. I gave him probably a confused look, but didn't say anything. He then smiled and put his finger up to his mouth, signaling me to be quiet.
Nope.
I guess this guy was playing hide and seek with maybe a kid or something. It seemed really weird, but I didn't think too much of it. I kind of nodded back to him and then left him alone. I kept moving, trying to decide which game that I would play next. After not finding anything in that corner that I wanted to play, I started to move back over to the other games. But not far from that area, I found a game and started to play it. I was at that game for maybe 5 minutes or so. At one point of being there, I happened to look over to the quiet corner that I had been at before.
The roller coaster
I don't
simulator.
know why, but I just did. It was near where I had seen the man who had been hiding. But now I saw the guy again. He was standing up and with a girl who was not in my class. She appeared to be younger than me, and at first I figured that she was his daughter. But I noticed that they were walking towards the emergency exit, and the way the guy looked, I just had a bad feeling.
Dude.
It just wasn't right, and I decided to walk over.
Dude, go get
I had
somebody.
no plan and didn't know what I was going to do or say. I started walking straight for the guy, and he then saw me. What happened next was really surprising. He had been holding on to the little girl's hand, and then he let her go. Then he walked towards the exit door and left.
Yeah.
The girl remained inside, standing.
Dude.
I guess it wasn't an emergency exit, because no kind of alarm or anything went off.
Right.
But the guy was now gone. I walked over to the girl and asked her if she knew that guy. She didn't say anything to me, but shook her head no.
Oh my god.
After that, I walked with her back over to my teacher and told her about what had happened. The man was long gone, though. I'm not really sure what else was done, because I went back over to the arcade, and I don't remember a whole lot of details after. But I'm glad that I saw the man both times. Something about him just seemed suspicious from the start. I trusted my instincts, and my instincts were right.
That is a different type of horror, right? Like, the first story, I don't know if that was like actually true. You know, it's a Chuck E. Cheese dude standing outside your window. He left some tickets behind. Like, I don't know about that, you know? That's some Five Nights at Freddy's shenanigans right there. But that is a different type of scary horror, because that's just stuff that happens, unfortunately, like every day. These creeps, these, child predators walking off with kids who don't know any better, who don't know stranger danger and all that stuff, man. It's just like, ooh, that was a different type of scary, dude. My God. It gave me chills.
This is something that happened almost 10 years ago now. It was 2015, and at the time, I was a divorced mother of a 10-year-old boy.
Okay.
I enjoyed spending time with my son, and we would do fun things together all the time. One night, I took him to Chuck E. Cheese. It was fairly busy, and there were a lot of other people there. My son always loved going there, and I would usually just sit at a table as he played the games. He was old enough that I didn't need to always keep an eye on him.
All right.
So I sat at one of the tables and went on my phone.
Okay.
On this night in particular, I was pretty much by myself at one of the tables. My son was in the arcade somewhere, and nobody was sitting immediately near me. At one point, though, a man came up and sat at my table.
Excuse me?
I didn't see where he had come from. I just noticed when he sat down, and I looked up to see him there. He looked to be around my age, so roughly late 30s, and had really short blonde hair.
Are you going to flirt with
I
me?
was a little bit confused by why he was sitting at my table, and I looked up at him. That's when he just stated that his kid loved Chuck E. Cheese. I said that mine did too, and we talked very briefly about our kids.
Okay.
I don't remember much of what he said, because I was still confused as to why he had come up to me.
Yeah,
in the
why are you
first
talking
place.
to me?
He must have sensed my confusion, because he then stuck out his hand for me to shake and introduced himself to me.
Not touching your hand.
He said that his name was Dave, and I gave my name to him.
No, should have gave fake name.
He said that he better get going, and he got up and walked away. I watched him walk back into the arcade and out of my sight. The whole encounter was a little bit strange. I stayed where I was for probably another 30 minutes or so. I didn't see Dave at all for the rest of the night. After my son had used up all of his tokens, he came over and got something with his tickets, and then we left. It was the next day that I was on Facebook when I saw that I had a friend request from a guy named Dave. At first, I didn't know who he was, so I clicked on his profile.
That's why I said
I then realized that it was the same man who had talked to me at Chuck E. Cheese the previous night.
fake name.
This was kind of weird, because I had only given him my first name.
Right.
I wasn't really sure how he found me. We didn't have any mutual friends or anything. There wasn't a whole lot on his profile as far as information or pictures either. I don't really know why, but I accepted his friend request. Unless it was obviously a robot or something, I would kind of automatically accept everyone.
Why?
But that proved to be a mistake, as only about an hour later, he started sending me messages. He started out by saying hi and asking what I was doing.
No, I don't know you. I don't know you. What are you doing?
I wasn't interested in talking to him, to be honest, and I didn't respond.
Why did you even
He kept
accept
sending
it?
me messages, though. By the next day, there was about 10 more unread messages that I had from him.
God.
I finally decided to respond and asked him why he was sending me so many messages.
Can you please kindly fuck
He
off?
replied saying because I wasn't responding. He then asked me if I wanted to hang out with him.
I don't know you. I'm not. No, it's not happening, dude. Please, sir, kindly fuck off.
And I told him no thanks. And that's when his mood started to change.
Oh, no.
He started cursing me out and calling me things that I won't repeat here. I told him that if he didn't stop messaging me, I was going to block him. That's when he said something that really made me worry.
Oh, God.
He said something like, "Go ahead, I know where you live." It
Oh.
gave me the chills to read it, because based on his behavior, I thought that maybe he did somehow know. He then said that he didn't even have a kid. I blocked him and reported his account for harassment to Facebook.
You can call the police.
I just hoped that that would be it, and I wouldn't have to deal with him anymore.
You can call the police.
For a few days, I didn't hear from Dave or see him at all.
Oh, God, no.
But then, one night,
Oh,
he
God,
came to
no.
my house. Luckily, my son wasn't home at the time and was at a friend's house. It was probably about 8 or 9 p.m., and I would be leaving to pick up my son soon. There was a knock on my front door to the house, and I knew instantly, based on how late it was, that it was probably Dave. My heart was racing as I walked over to look out one of the front windows. He knocked on the door again as I saw him standing there. I wasn't going to answer it, but soon he started yelling. I heard him say that he knew I was home and to open up the door.
Do I need Do I need to do it again? I did this once before in one of these videos. Do I need to do it? I need to do it again. I need to do it. This is why you always gotta carry something with you. Cause we ain't about to do this. This is not what's about to happen, dude. This is not what's about to happen. You are on my property, sir. I can open fire through the door, especially in the state of Florida, and you're done. You're done. I'm good. I ain't going to jail. You know where you're going? The morgue. My God. Holy sh.
I was thinking that this guy had to have been crazy or something. He started looking around to the windows, and I quickly moved away. I knew that this was grounds to call the police, and I got my phone from the counter and dialed 911. As I was talking to the operator, Dave started yelling something else, but I wasn't paying attention to him. I was told that a police officer was in the area and would head over. I figured they would be there in a couple of minutes, and I started to feel better. Meanwhile, Dave kept knocking on the door.
Dude, you keep knocking.
He was clearly angry now, and I heard him yell at me that if I didn't open the door for him, he was going to break in.
And
the relief that I felt
Try it.
away, and I was just as worried as I had ever been. I still didn't bother to say anything back to Dave, though. Instead, I moved into my hallway and entered the bathroom. Then I closed the door and locked it, and hoped that Dave wouldn't actually try to break in. The bathroom had a small window that faced our backyard. At first, when I was in there, things were quiet now that I was farther away from Dave.
He's been knocking that
I
window.
could barely hear the knocking, but then the knocking stopped.
He's been knocking that window.
Probably about 2 minutes later, I then heard noises coming from the backyard. It sounded like Dave was possibly banging on the kitchen window. This only lasted for a few seconds though, and then it stopped. I didn't hear anything for a few minutes after that. The next thing I knew, I got a call from the police saying that they were there.
Okay.
I left my bathroom and saw several officers outside of my house with flashing lights. They had actually caught Dave.
Nice.
And I was told that he had been hiding in my backyard. I pressed charges against him for harassment and later got a restraining order. I'm happy to say that I've never seen him since then.
There wouldn't be no restraining order, dude. Like I said, I mean, I don't know where you live, ma'am. You know, I don't know what state you're in. In the good state of Florida, stand your ground. You come on my property, bro. You come on my property. You're going away in a body bag. It's just that simple. All right. I'll still call the cops. I'll call the cops so they come pick up your body. But that's like, man, shit. No, sir.
I used to work
Not
at a
me.
Chuck E. Cheese. I worked there in high school when I was a senior, and a little bit in the summer after I graduated. Most of the time that I worked, it was at nights, especially if it was during the week.
Okay.
I liked the job and made several friends in my time working there. I even still talk to a couple of them. Anyways, on this night, I was working until close. Sometimes, a few of us would have to stay for a while after closing, cleaning and stuff. This was one of those nights, and I stayed until probably almost 10 p.m. Finally, I was able to go home. The Chuck E. Cheese parking lot connected to a few other businesses' parking lots in the area. Most of them were closed by now, though. It was very dark and quiet.
I do miss that.
I remember
logo.
that when I got into my car,
The
I
new
started
logo,
it up.
the new Chuck E. Cheese.
As soon as I did, though, I saw a bunch of headlights coming from the side of the Chuck E. Cheese building.
Uh-oh.
They all started slowly driving towards me.
Uh-oh.
I was really confused. When they got closer, they stopped. They all parked close to me, and I had no clue why. They were all different kinds of cars, most seeming relatively old. One was really small with just 2 doors. The other had 4 doors, and another was like an old Ford Taurus.
Dom, is that
I
you?
didn't really get a good look at the other one. It seemed really sketchy to me, so I started to drive away. But as soon as I did, the cars all started to move as well.
Dude.
I tried to remain calm and just kept driving my way back home. It would take me about 10 to 15 minutes to drive home, and there were just a few turns that I had to make. I was hoping that at one of those turns, the cars would decide to stop following me.
Okay.
But the whole ways that I drove, they remained a ways back.
What the hell?
I just kept driving home without really thinking about it. I was young and didn't know what else to do. I soon reached our street, and I turned onto it. When I later turned into my driveway, all 4 of the cars kept driving, and at first, I was happy. But I then saw them all come to a stop, parking right in front of my house. I got out of my car when I had parked in the driveway. All of the cars were just sitting there. I walked to the front door pretty quickly, keeping my eyes on the cars.
Okay.
They didn't move, and nobody got out.
Good.
Once I was inside my house,
I'm
I
calling
felt
the
much
cops.
safer. But still, I didn't know what was going on and was afraid that I might potentially be in danger.
Ain't no potentially, you
I
are.
looked around for my parents inside to tell them about the situation. Unfortunately, though, they had both gone to bed already because it was sort of late.
Wake him up!
This was bad news for me because I had no idea what I was supposed to do. I just kept watching out the window and hoping that the cars would leave. Their engines turned off and lights turned off, but the cars remained there. For about 10 minutes, nothing happened. I don't think that anybody got out of the cars because I thought I would have heard a car door open or close, and I didn't see them either.
Okay.
We lived in a quiet neighborhood with not very many streetlights,
Right.
so I couldn't really see much.
I mean, same with
I
us.
remained at the window watching, but I was careful so that they wouldn't be able to see me if they looked in. I kept most of the lights in the house off. As this went on, I got increasingly curious as to what they were doing.
Right.
Then, all of a sudden, all of the cars seemed to start within a couple of seconds of each other.
Okay.
Just a few seconds after that, they all drove away. It was the strangest thing ever.
What?
I stayed up until almost 1 o'clock in the morning, and the cars never came back. After that, I never saw them again. I worked at Chuck E. Cheese for a couple of more months, and never experienced anything else strange like that.
What was the point? What was that?
When I was a little younger, I worked at a Chuck E. Cheese. It was for a stretch of about a year, back in 2016.
Seems like a stressful
The
job,
job
by
was
the way.
pretty average for me. I had worked at a couple of somewhat similar places, like a bowling alley and a restaurant.
I guess too many kids
I was
for me.
in college, so I was part-time and would not have the most consistent hours.
I don't like kids, man.
This story takes place on a Thursday night when I was working a later shift until
But tonight's the...
close.
No, it's not.
At the Chuck E. Cheese that I worked at, we had a break room in the back for employees. It was kind of what you would expect in an average break room. There were a few tables and chairs, and there was a fridge and a vending machine as well.
Vending machine, that's nice.
After working a few hours of my shift, it was time for me to take one of my breaks.
Wish my old job had
We
that.
didn't have a whole lot of employees working at once, so there would often only be one of us taking breaks at a time.
Right?
When I got to the break room and walked inside, I sat down at a table. Then I started to just go on my phone like I always did. There was also a little TV in there that was on some random channel at a low volume.
Dude, come on.
As I sat in there, I thought I heard a noise.
That's top...
I didn't know what it was though, because I was the only person in there.
Top tier break room.
I was looking around, sort of confused. That's when I suddenly saw in the corner, behind the vending machine, somebody was there. I just barely saw part of their body, and only because I leaned my body
It's
over
a
a little and
mascot.
looked.
I swear.
As I did this, the person suddenly stood up.
I swear.
It was a man, and I don't know who he was. I remember that he had a beard and kind of messy hair.
You don't know who he
As he
is.
stood up, I was too surprised to say anything at first. But then, I noticed the man was walking towards me.
Nah,
He
we gotta
didn't
run
say
it.
anything as he did.
Nah.
The way that he was walking towards me was like he was trying to sneak up on me.
We gotta
But
run
I could
it.
see him the whole time.
Come on.
It really creeped me out. And finally, when he was less than 10 feet away, I
Come on.
stood up. I said something like, "What are you doing, man?"
Nah, I said you better
The
back the
man
fuck
did not
up.
answer me and
what I
kept
would
getting
say.
closer. I turned and ran out of there as fast as I could.
Ain't no turning and running. Ain't no turning and running. Nah. Let's go. Let's go, dude. Ain't no turning and running. It's just me and you and these four walls, bruh. And probably some stuff on the counter I can use. Pick up a chair, throw that shit. Let's go. Nah.
I didn't look back and ran all the way to the front of the building. It was a quiet night, and there weren't too many customers in the arcade or anything. I just wanted to get to the area with the most people, though.
Damn, Transformers?
I found one of my coworkers and let them know about the guy.
Guitar Hero.
We debated whether we should go back to the break room or not.
Mine never
the
had
guy
that stuff.
might have been dangerous.
Oh, that's the new one. Got the
After
new
probably
design.
a 5-minute discussion, we decided to go back there. I walked back to the break room with my coworker. When we got there, the door was closed. We knocked and let the man know that he had to leave, but we got no answer. My coworker then opened the door against my warning. When we looked inside, though, the man was nowhere to be seen. The entire break room was messed up. Tables were flipped over, chairs were upside down and on
Wait,
top of tables.
throw a tantrum?
The fridge was open and the garbage was tipped over and spilled. He basically trashed the room. We searched it, but he was gone. I guess he must have left after I had run out. We cleaned up the mess, which took about 10 minutes. But in all honesty, I was just glad that the man was gone and he didn't hurt anyone. That was my scariest experience working at Chuck E. Cheese.
Saying right now, dude. Nah, we would have had to run it right then and there, bruh. Ain't no running. Ain't no leaving. Me and you, one-on-one. Let's do this. Oh my God, dude. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. The first one, again, like I don't mean that. Like, look, for all we know, that's what that person saw. That one seemed a little bit, a little hammed up. Just oh yeah, Chuck E. Cheese mascot, like. But the rest of them all seemed very real, very just like stuff that any day of the week could happen, right? Some like homeless looking dude got into the Chuck E. Cheese back there. I don't know what he was planning to do. Threw a tantrum. I don't know what he was doing. Like that stuff can happen. The one with like the dude about to lead off a little girl somewhere, about to leave with her. Oh my God, like the Dave. I'm saying right now, dude. Dave, I wish you would, Dave. Nah. Nah, think if you think that BB gun is the only piece I got, you think that man, look, woo. Yeah, but those are some great stories, man. And Mr. Nightmare, did pretty good. Not Mr. Nightmare, Nighttime Spooks. Sorry, it's the other one. There is a lot of people. Nighttime Spooks did, great job at at the narration there. Yeah. Chuck E. Cheese, man. Like, obviously, from my childhood, I miss it. But nowadays, it could just be because I've watched too much Five Nights at Freddy's. But I'm good. I'm more of a Dave and Buster's. Like Dave and Buster's. Oh, that's fine. That's for me. Like there's no mascots there. None of that. But yeah, man. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Again, go over to Nighttime Spooks. Subscribe to him. Puts out great content, right? And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.